Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel for another video today. Today, we are joined by Lorri over from GLP1 Journey in Review, and she's going to share her story with us. So everybody, welcome Lorri to the channel.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're happy to dive in and kind of talk about your GLP1 story. So just diving right on into it, we were talking a little bit before we started recording, and Lorri has quite an interesting take on obesity. And so I want her to go ahead and share that with us. You want to talk about when your struggle really started and let us know a little bit about
that? When I was in college and just graduated college, I was a runner and I ran probably like 10 miles a day. And then as I graduated and I work in the medical profession and had to take a lot of call and work a lot of extra shifts, I slowly gained like 6, 7, 8 pounds. And this was back in the 80s. And my family just was like basically having no part of that. They were like, oh my God, you're really gaining weight. As a matter of fact, one of my biggest memories was my father saying, oh, well, don't worry, because when she's totally on her own, she's not going to be able to afford the way that she eats now. So, she'll lose a lot of weight. And I just kept thinking, wow, my parents already think I'm going to fail. And like, I just went on this mission to like prove that wrong, and actually went opposite, and I had so much food in my house that I actually wasted a lot. And they passed away shortly after that. And since I had the food, I basically just started eating the food, partially from depression because they passed away, partially to prove a point. And it was not healthy food because I was working a lot, so a lot of it was fast food and junk food, and it just kind of stuck with me. I've been on many diets, lost the same 40, 50 pounds many times, gained it back until I tried the GLP-1 medication.
So it was a stubborn thing.
Partially.
Yeah, I can relate to that, as I'm very stubborn. Tell me I can't do something, I'm probably going to try my hardest to figure it out, but then it kind of backfired on you, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you weren't obese or overweight as a child?
No.
Because you were so active in running and that sort of thing, and then when you started working, you couldn't be as active, right?
Correct.
Did you have any other family members that struggled with obesity, or was it new to them and you think maybe that's why they reacted the way they did?
I mean, I had some, my grandmother's brother was fairly obese. My father was a good 10, 15 pounds overweight, but not really obese. Obesity in the 80s wasn't as big of a thing as it is now, because back then, I remember like we had the first McDonald's that ever opened in the area where I grew up in. So, I mean, there weren't so many fast food places. There were no Uber Eats or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it was basically, there were a lot of like TV dinners and stuff like that, but basically it just wasn't the same.
Yeah. So your parents died, you went off on a kind of binge, essentially, right? So you would say you weren't in a great mental space?
No, I'm sure depression played a good part of it.
How much did you end up gaining, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, when I was younger, I was probably like 20, 25 pounds overweight. And it wasn't until, I'm going to say, about mid-1990s that I just didn't care anymore, and like went out to dinner a lot and never watched really what I ate and so forth. And eventually I found myself up to about 180 pounds, and I'm only 5'2", so.
And that was your highest weight, was 180?
That I know of. I mean, I didn't weigh myself a lot back then.
That seems to be a common thread. Like throwing the scale out. We just at some point stopped caring and stopped weighing ourselves.
Mhm.
So what other diets or things did you try to lose weight that you failed at?
Like everybody else, I've done Weight Watchers, I've done keto. Um, I even went to this, um, I think it was called Quick Weight Loss Center, where like you could have a half a protein for breakfast, a half a protein for lunch, only certain proteins for dinner, but then you had to have at least 4 of their supplement, uh, which is like, protein pudding packs and protein bar type of things. You have 4 of them a day. And I lost a good amount of weight with that, but it was always maintenance. Once I lost it, I just did not know how to maintain it, and the
Yeah.
weight kept coming back.
Yeah. And how sustainable is that for the long run, right? Like, how are we going to
Right.
eat 4 pudding packs or whatever for the rest of our lives?
Correct.
I've done that as well. I went to a weight loss clinic between my second and third child, and they gave like phentermine and so them type of places where they're like, oh, just eat a ton of protein and then take this pill and you'll lose a bunch of weight. But who can eat like that for the rest of their
Right.
life? I think maintenance is the hard part.
It is.
Like, we've all been able to lose weight at some point, right? We've all been able to starve ourselves enough to lose weight. It's just keeping it off that is the problem.
Right. I've been on maintenance since January, and that's been the hardest part. Is because there's no definite guidelines, so it's like just playing around, hit and miss, and
yeah, it's either, I mean, you have one of 2 options, right? You can stop taking the medicine and try, or you can stay on it and try and figure out a dosage that works for you. So I do think it's a little more cut and dry than typical weight loss maintenance, though. Whereas
yes,
with regular weight loss maintenance, there's a million different things that you could try to lose weight to struggle. So did you struggle with like restrictive eating or binge eating or anything like that? Like or was it just the food was there, you were working a lot, so you ate a lot of food?
kind of a combination of both. And one problem, and I still have this problem today, is I eat my dinner very late because of work. Like I start work at like anywhere from 4:30 to 5 in the morning, and I'm usually not off to anywhere between 7 and 8 p.m. So it's like, and I only do that 3 to 4 times a week, but it's like, if I don't really want to eat all my meals at work, so I come home and I eat, and it's almost bedtime.
Do you work 12-hour shifts? Is that what you?
It's more like a 14-hour shifts.
Ooh. Do you work for the hospital system?
I work in an outpatient clinic.
Oh, wow. That is hard. The struggle around like healthcare workers or shift workers in general is always a topic that I see, like people that work a long shift or people that work overnight. And so their, circadian rhythms off and all of that seems to be a struggle with weight management. And I think ties back to like sleep and all of that. But yeah, so I do not struggle with that, but my mom, fun fact, is a nurse, and she used to talk about how who worked overnights, which is kind of why I started that. And she would talk about, well, you're eating lunch at 3:00 in the morning, and it led to a lot of weight retention that you seem to be able to relate to. So how did you get to GLP-1s? How did you learn about GLP-1s and decide that might be an option that was good for you?
Well, I heard about the GLP-1s, and like really what stuck in my mind was, it's about $1,400 for the month, because insurance didn't pay for it. I was on Medicare, so I knew they weren't going to pay for it. And then I started hearing about compounding, and I'm like, compounding? What, is somebody making this in their garage or something? And I'm like, I didn't, really know anything about it. And it turns out that one of the guys that I work with, whose part-time job is a race car driver, he's like, oh yeah, me and my whole crew, we've been using this compound from this, place in Tampa, and we're losing weight, and we've been on it for months, and we're fine. So he gave me a card from the place, and I'm like, okay, this is somewhat affordable, because my original plan was I'm just going to do this for a month, kickstart a diet, and I was able to order like 3 months worth for what I thought I was going to pay. Right. So I did. And I'm like, this is working really well. I can, somewhat afford it. And I stayed on it. And I like the fact that, it wasn't as restrictive. I could still eat pretty much the foods that I want in moderation. And I've kind of stuck with it ever since.
Do you, were you somebody that struggled with a lot of food noise prior to GLP-1s, like cravings and the obsession and thoughts of food?
I didn't think so until it was gone. And I'm like, whoa, then I realized that's what everybody's talking about, food noise. I had no idea really what it was or that I even had it until it was gone.
Yeah, I can relate to that because it's weird, like how much free brain space you have now that you didn't realize was being taken up by the thought of how many calories you were going to eat or whatever. So you mentioned being able to eat what you wanted within moderation. So do you like count anything, or are you pretty much intuitive eating? Like, what does your diet look like since being on a GLP-1?
Well, at first I was, limiting my carbs pretty restrictively, and every now and then I would, weigh my foods and log it just so that I would know what I was eating was actually what I thought I was eating. And pretty much I've been doing this now since December of 2023.
I was going to say, I have it right here.
So, I pretty well know, from looking at it. But like I said, if I'm running into a problem or if all of a sudden, I feel like I'm in maintenance now, so I don't really want to lose or gain. So, but when I was losing or gaining, not what I thought, I would go ahead and log it, measure it, and make sure, and making sure that my exercise, I wasn't taking too many calories off for my exercise. And then I pretty much stopped taking anything off for exercise and just kind of went with that. And that's pretty much how I judge what I'm eating.
So I do want to talk to you about maintenance. I want to get there and kind of talk about how your journey has gone, because that seems to be a very hot topic right now. There's a lot of people in this space that are entering maintenance or starting to think about it. And I think people are scared of maintenance. I do want to talk about that. But first I want to know sort of how much you lost and what that journey looked like how long it took you to lose the weight, all of that.
My actual weigh-in amount was like 178, but like that was like a week before I started, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to eat a lot of stuff. So like I binge ate that week. So I'm sure I weighed a little bit more when I actually started, and I kept changing my goal weight. First, I wanted to get down to 140, which was pretty much the lowest weight that I had on other diets. And then when I reached that, I'm like, well, I'm still considered overweight. So let me get to what BMI will say that I'm average weight. And then when I got there, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to be in the middle so that if I, gain a couple pounds on a vacation or something, I just don't pop up into overweight again. So when I hit 118, I was happy because originally it was going to be 120. And then I'm like, oh, let's just go for 118 because that'll make it even 60 pounds.
Yeah. So you met your January 25 is when you met. So it took you a couple of years.
Yeah, a year and a month.
Oh, so January 24.
Yes, I'm sorry, 24.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So not a too terrible amount of time. I was about to say if it was 2 years, that was a slower process, but it wasn't. So what was your dosage that how high did you end up getting on dosage?
I ended up basically at 10 milligrams. Now I tried 12.5 for a week and actually 2 weeks, and I was literally forcing myself to eat. And I'm like, nah, this isn't good. I shouldn't have to do that. So I went back down, and so pretty much 10 was the highest that I went.
I love that you said that, because there are a lot of people in this community that want that. For some reason, they want that I can't ever eat anything feeling. And I'm always like, no, that's not the point, right? So I really like that you said, I just went back down. I recognize that. Like, that's a healthy way to look at it. And I wish more people would do that. Cause I myself was at a point, I tried 15 for a week and oh my gosh, the side effects were awful. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't even like get out of bed hardly. I had no energy. And I was like, this is not what life is about. And I ended up backing back down as well. So I wish like people are chasing that not ever wanting food. And that's not healthy either. There has to be some type of balance. Okay. So how has maintenance looked for you? Like what is that process? How did you decide? Did you back off? How's that looked for you?
What I wanted to do was attempt to lower my dose, just because I thought that was the right thing to do. And first I went down to 7.5 and I was doing fine. Then I went down to 5 and I started hearing a little bit more food noise. So then I slowly kind of went up to 7.5 again. And that's pretty much where I stay. I'm thinking about trying to lower it again, but maybe since I have compound, I could kind of go in between and maybe doing a little bit slower. I don't know. I also had thoughts of maybe doing it every 10 days, but I mean, that's not a huge concern for me. If I stay at 7.5 once a week, I'm okay with that. I mean, I just think, if I could lower it, fine. If I can't, fine. It's kind of a hit and miss type of thing. And I'm okay if I have to stay where I am.
Yeah, I agree. There seems to be within like the idea is you reach your weight loss, then you have to start backing off or whatever. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that it's personal. I heard Chris Durham say recently, I think he's on 10. He made the comment that if I have to be on that for the rest of my life, who cares? Like that's fine. I think
he's on 15.
Or yeah, 15, whatever. He was like, if I have to be on that forever, then that's fine with me. And I think that it is so individualized per person, like what they can do and what they can handle. Like for me, like you saying, I noticed food noise come back. Like for me, that would be, oh no, we're not doing that. Like I've said before that I can deal with being hungry. Like that's fine. I just don't want food noise. The mental aspect of it is the game for me for sure.
It's funny how you mentioned the hunger because I've never had a side effect from day one. And probably about 3 weeks ago, I'm like, am I nauseated? And then I finally realized, no, I'm hungry. So I was like confusing the hunger with nausea. So like as soon as I ate something, it was gone. And I figured, wow, okay.
Had you experiencing hunger or like hunger signals?
Not really. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this weird feeling?
Yeah. Isn't it weird? Because you've been on it now for 2 years almost. So yeah, at this point, I don't remember what it's like to have food noise or to be hungry or whatever. I'm the same way. I was not hungry ever. Like I think I went like 2 years without my stomach ever growling. Just was never hungry. But as I've backed down on my dose, I'm like somewhere, I'm also on compound. So I'm somewhere between like 5 and 6 milligrams per week now. I'll get hungry. Like my stomach will growl. Whereas it used to be, I could go like all day long if I had a busy day and like, oh crap, it's 5 o'clock and I haven't eaten anything today. But now my stomach will tell me that I need to eat,
and that's okay.
Yeah, that's the point's not to like never be hungry or never to enjoy food, right?
Right.
There's extreme on both ends for sure. What do you wish people knew about GLP-1s, or like you said, you have a channel. What is your overall goal with sharing and getting word out there?
Just teach people that it exists and it's a tool and it's out there and it's working for a lot of people, and just basically explaining the differences, that there is compound if you can't afford the name brand. There is name brand. There's different ways to get the name brand at different prices, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you could afford. And, there's different types of medication. I happen to be on the tirzepatide, but, if I always tell people, when they ask me what medication should I be on, my first question is always, does your insurance cover something? Well, that should be the one that you try first.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to get it paid for, definitely try that first. You've only ever been on tirzepatide?
I've only ever been on tirzepatide.
Yeah. You said that you're in the healthcare space. What do you
Mhm.
see within the healthcare space in terms of GLP-1s? Like, do you hear things or do people say things? Is there talk about it in that space?
There is, and I was really surprised, especially since I started my channel, and, like, I don't walk up to somebody and say, "Hi, I'm on GLP-1," but, as we start talking, I find out that, um, I do CT scans, and there's probably, like, 25 of us that do them because we have 7 different, locations in the area, and there's a good, like, 11 of us that I know that are on them,
So it's a
and
positive
right,
talk. They're not
right.
speaking negatively about them.
No.
That's good. I think that the healthcare community overall, it's shifted, right? Like
Mhm.
I think the I think it's shifting everywhere, but I think in the beginning it was very like the doctors still weren't as much on board with it. And so
Right.
speaking more positively about it, that's kind of why I wanted to ask. So my next question was going to be, are you open about your GLP-1 journey in your real life?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and, like, just about 2 weeks ago, I went to my cardiologist for a follow-up, and, we were talking because he knows I'm on the tirzepatide, and he's like, "Oh, well, I take Ozempic." So, I was pretty, surprised because he doesn't really
Yeah.
seem overweight, you could probably lose about 5 or 6 pounds, but not overweight, and he's like, "There's just so many other good benefits."
Did you have other health ailments that improved other than your weight loss? Because you
Yes.
just mentioned cardiology. So what other benefits have you seen from the GLP-1?
I'm no longer on blood pressure medication, which is a story in itself. I still take my cholesterol medication, only because I have absolutely no side effects, and he wants to be a little bit cautious with that. So he's keeping me on it. Um, and again, like basically, I started the medication. My aha moment was I had a cough and I did a CAT scan on myself, and I'm like, is that calcium in my coronary arteries? Which is how I got to a cardiologist.
Was it calcium?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, so has that improved or is it kind of just, I
Well,
don't really know how that
I mean,
works.
it doesn't really
Goes low.
improve, but now it's being managed, and I'm being watched by a cardiologist. And
It's
like I
not getting
said,
worse.
it's not getting worse. I'm on less medications. All my tests are fine. Um, so,
That's awesome.
mhm.
Um, how do you feel that the GLP-1 has benefited you mentally? Did you notice any mental effects of it? Like
uh, yeah.
anxiety, were you an anxious person or are you no longer, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I've always been some semi anxiety and probably still am, but I have noticed, one clarity because I don't always have that food chatter in the back of my mind, and I just feel so much more positive because I could, do so much more not carrying that 60 pounds.
Yeah.
I could, and then, plus it's helped my workout. So, I have a lot more energy, and I think I'm a much more positive person because of it.
Yeah, I think when we are more confident overall and we present
Mhm.
ourselves, when we're able to present ourselves, how should I say this? When we're able to present ourselves to the world the way that we feel on the inside or the way that we feel we should be seen to the world, I feel like it changes everything, like our confidence level,
Mhm.
how people perceive us, and just how we approach every situation in
Right.
in the world. And so I definitely think that that is true for there's this talk right now about the like GLP-1 glow up is what they're calling it, right?
Mhm.
Like I have never seen a woman or a man that has not had some type of like glow up after being on a GLP-1.
Mhm.
And then there's people who are like, they should study this. They should study what's happening. And Michelle and I were talking yesterday about this, and we both at the same time we were trying to think of a word for it, and both of us at the same time said freedom. And it's that we are not held captive anymore inside this body that we don't feel like we belong in or in jail to our food thoughts, and we're living now, like we're actually putting ourselves
Right.
out there and living.
Absolutely.
Have you received any pushback from family members that you said in your 20s they were commenting on your weight and how you had gained a little bit? How did they react to you being on a GLP-1, or do they know?
Yeah, they know, and They think that I look great. As a matter of fact, one of my brothers decided that he was going to use Ozempic, and granted, he probably again only has like 8 to 10 pounds to lose every now and then.
Mm,
And I used to think to myself, so what are you using a GLP-1 for? But then, as I got a little more educated, I'm like, why not? Because there's so many other benefits. And
right.
he's using compounds so people can't say, oh, you're taking it away from diabetics or from people who really need it, or taking it, from heavier people. And again, he doesn't drink as much on it. He loses the weight. He's kind of off it on it, but more on it. So, why not, have the other benefits? Because we do have heart problems in our family history, and
So he just uses it when he needs to.
pretty much, but it's like he'll use it for like 2 months, and he'll go off of it for 2, 3 weeks and go back on it. So it is fairly regularly, and he is thinking about doing it more regular. So
I don't know that I've ever heard of somebody using it in that way. That's
yeah.
interesting. But it works the way that he uses.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I wonder if like going off and on like that allows the other benefits to continue though, like the cardio. Like I wonder if it's like a game, like decreases his cardiovascular benefits and stuff like that. I wonder how that would look like on a
Uh,
scan.
yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm not an expert on it, but I know it stays in your system for a while. So the fact that he's
Yeah,
only
they
off
say
of it two,
a month.
3 weeks,
Yeah,
you know,
he's probably not depleting all of it every
right.
time he goes off of it. Um, is there anything else you want to share?
Um, if you do have high blood pressure and you're on this medication, just be careful, because basically what happened to me is as I lost the weight, my blood pressure normalized, and yet I was taking blood pressure medication
Mm-hmm.
twice a day, and I was like literally at a store and I passed out, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought that, oh well, I just got done working out, I hadn't eaten yet, it must be my blood sugar. Then the next day I kind of felt the same way. And that time I was smart enough to take my blood pressure, and it was like 90 over 55. And I'm like, aha,
Wow.
low.
That was the key. Yeah.
That was the key. So like, fortunately, like I said, since I'm in healthcare and my cardiologist comes to our center twice a week, he just happened to be at the center the next day. And he's like, okay, stop your blood pressure medication, and see me next week. And when I saw him, he's like, do you ever still feel lightheaded? I'm like, a little bit. He goes, well, now that you don't have high blood pressure, salt is your friend. So he
Ah,
actually introduced me to Element, which I drink fairly regularly, and seems to take care of, if I'm at all thinking that I might be a little bit lightheaded, I just take a couple sips of that and I'm fine.
yeah. In the beginning, I was not, when people start talking about element or like liquid IV, even those
Right.
types of
Hmm.
electrolyte replacement things, I was like, is that really necessary? But as I've heard more stories like yours, I definitely think there's a time and a place for them. And there's a lot of people who probably are going through what you went through with the blood
Hmm.
pressure as they've lost weight. And another reason why I think it is so important to have a good provider on your side,
Absolutely.
there seems to be a lot of the pushback that I hear about like telehealth companies and compounding is the lack of oversight as far as your provider goes. It like
Hmm.
kind of give you the medicine and then that's that. But at some point, I think it's up to the person, the patient, to advocate for themselves and make sure they're
Right.
going and seeing a doctor and telling them everything and that sort of thing. Um, when you started your journey, you had done some research. Did any of the like scarier side effects scare you? Like, there's a lot of
Yeah,
people
they
that'll
did.
get off on that.
And they did, but it's like my thought was that my weight and what it's doing to me scared me even more than what the
Yeah.
possible side effects are,
Yeah.
because I knew that was definitely hurting me.
So what would you say to people that are in that point that are thinking about taking it but are kind of on the fence, they can't decide if it will benefit them or what? What would you say to those people?
I would say you probably should do it. Uh, I recommend doing it. Do your research. Make sure you're getting it from a very reputable place. Stick with if you're going to go telehealth, stick with the bigger known telehealth companies. Check out who they're using. Check out the pharmacies. Check in with your doctor regularly. If your doctor isn't the one prescribing it and you're going through telehealth, usually most of them have where you could see the provider as many times as you want. Take advantage of that, and just do it. If you're finding that you're having problems with side effects or any other problems, you could always stop it. Just if you're going to start it, don't go crazy and get a 6-month supply, because you don't know how you're going to react to it. Don't get more than a 3-month supply. If you're using compound, better, because you could always lower your dose if you're having some problems, with the advice of the provider, of course. And try it. I mean, it's worked so good for so many people. What have you got to lose but the weight and maybe a little bit of money?
Yeah, exactly. What's the worst that could happen? You waste, $300, and then, I mean, I know that's a lot for a lot of people, but when we're putting it in the scale of our health and our life, it's a small price to pay to see if it'll work. Yeah. And the only other thing I would add is to be honest with your provider. Part of from what I've seen, a lot of the people that have these horrible side effects had something, right? Like there was something that they didn't tell their provider. There was something in their history. There's a lot of people that will unfortunately go on telehealth things and not answer truthfully to questions. They can get it. Be honest. You're only going to hurt yourself if you're not. Be honest with your doctor about what you're feeling, and make sure that you're doing it in an informed, educated way that is, like Lorri said, reputable. If you're using a telehealth, they should want to tell you what pharmacy they're using, and they should be willing to give you that information. And if they're not, then why are they not willing? And like Lorri said, go ahead.
And also keep in mind that a higher dose does not mean you're going to lose more weight.
Yes, that's a good point as well. A lot of people think that the higher in dosage they go, the more weight they'll lose, and all that does is get them a lot of nasty side effects. They don't necessarily have to suffer through. Is there anything you would change about your journey and the way it went?
I would have started it sooner, because I was thinking about it, several months before. And
yeah,
I wish I would have started when I first thought about it.
There's nothing else you would change about the dosage schedule you followed, or anything you look back on and say, oh, I should have done that differently?
I started with a telehealth company that I no longer use, that had some kind of shady type of thing. Like, they would not tell me the pharmacy. It came in pre-filled syringes. Every time I would call them and ask them a question is, oh, we're going to discount you 10% on your, next order, rather than answer the question. So I quickly got rid of them and got on the right track.
Yeah,
I would not do that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's actually a big red flag for a telehealth. They should want to tell you what pharmacy they're using, and they should not send it to you in a pre-filled syringe.
Right.
There were a couple that were doing that. I don't know if there are anymore, but I think it was more of like a med spa type thing that would happen. When I interviewed Peter Bernard, he's in the Facebook group, he was telling me that when he first started with a med spa, they would go into a different room and draw it up, and then like come in with it pre-filled. And when he asked questions, they wouldn't give him answers. And I was like, also realize that this is your health and that you need to advocate for yourself, and they should want to answer your questions and make you feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you said that about the pre-filled syringes, because that was one I forgot about. Yeah, I don't know how they even do that.
If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right.
It's probably not right. Right. And not every telehealth company is going to work for everybody also. So that's a good point to make too. Like, some people love one, and then you might try it and not love them. Figure out what works for you, and, don't believe everything that you see online.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Well, Lorri, where can they find you if they want to follow along with your journey?
My YouTube channel is GLP1 Journey in Review. Just if you search that, you should come up with me.
Perfect. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And hopefully we can get me over on your channel to do an interview
Absolutely.
with that. So thank you so much for watching this video. And thank you to Lorri for joining us today. And I will see you guys in the next one.